Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It is Monday, and we are almost into week 1 mode. Still a little preseason talk, a little draft talk for you here. It's a big show today. Before we get into all that, listen, most important thing is we got to keep raising money. We've got 3 days left, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Our draftathon is Wednesday night. Then we're going to stop with the St. Jude stuff, so you got 3 days to empty your pockets a little bit and help out kids who need it. St. Jude Children's Hospital. Please hit that donate button. We've got a poker tournament coming up tonight. We're going to have a live stream around it. We've got a mock draft that we're streaming tomorrow night. We've got the draftathon on Wednesday. All of these are great opportunities. If you want to be in the poker tournament, you can go to my Twitter page and you can see that. I got more info on that coming up when we start the show. All right, let's do it. Let's talk fantasy football right now. It is time to put some players in your queue, or if you still come with like a notepad to your draft, time to write down some names. We're giving you a ton of sleepers, a ton of breakouts, and some busts. You want a separate list for the busts. Keep those separate so you don't, make a mistake and draft them. I'm Adam Azer. I got Dave Richard and Jamey Eisenberg here. It is Monday, August 29th. This is actually a pretty big day for us. We're going to be raising a lot of money for St. Jude tonight with our poker tournament. I will tell you about that in a little bit. I have been doing what I love best, talking to people that I don't ordinarily talk to, giving them fantasy advice. Fantasy football brings us all together, and I was doling out a lot of advice, helping people with their drafts this weekend, and I love it. Dave, busy weekend for you? Dave, you are muted. Come back to us. Come back to us, Dave Richard.
Hold on, I'm here. How was I muted? That's crazy.
And you lost your microphone in the process. All right, go change your settings. We're gonna get Dave set.
Microphone either? What the hell?
Yeah, you were fine when we did the mic check 5 minutes ago. That was weird.
I'm telling you.
Something happened. All right, Jamey, how about you? Busy weekend for you?
You hear me now?
Tap on your mic. Let's do a mic check on the air. Nope, still wrong. Jamey, we're off to a good start here. How about you?
Hey, buddy.
How are you? Busy weekend doling out fantasy advice?
Yes, I had 4 drafts over the weekend, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Saturday, and it was funny you say that because there were people that came to the draft with lists printed out still.
Yeah.
It was 2 of them were my father-son leagues that I did with my 10-year-old and in a week my 8-year-old. And so the parents, that came with like their list, their sheets, drafting all over the place. It's really, really interesting to see people that are doing this, for the first time or looking at it for the first time, just, oh my God, I got my draft. I got to prepare, and then they come and they're just like, it's like round 8. And one guy goes, did David Montgomery go yet? Yeah, he was gone. Defenses when they went, kickers when they went, quarterbacks when they went. It's just fascinating when you see people that are not immersed in it like we are, which is, the fun part of it, to see how people just react differently.
All right, we're going to get Dave back in a bit. You're probably wondering, if you're watching right now, what is around my neck. I'm going to show you. It is freaking awesome. We're going to be auctioning it off, but I want Dave to be able to see it, to react to it, because he's going to love it. Let me tell you some of the names we're going to be bringing up as sleepers, as breakouts, as busts. Breakouts like A.J. Dillon and Chase Edmonds. Sleepers like Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr. Nyheim Hines, Nico Collins. On the bust list, it's all based on cost. James Conner for Dave. Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers. I think both of you have them on your bust list. Ezekiel Elliott for Jamey. So we'll talk about it all in a bit. We do have to start with the big news here, and it's an uncomfortable subject, and I probably, to be quite honest, my least favorite thing about the job is when we have to talk about fantasy value when, because you need to know. You have questions, and I get it. But obviously, we're talking about the Brian Robinson situation, and you're going to want to know what to do, and we'll get to that. But obviously, sincerely, we are hoping for the best for Brian Robinson. He was shot multiple times yesterday, Commanders rookie running back. And, thank God he has, according to reports, sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Seems like he's going to be fine, at least in that respect. We simply do not know what it means for when he'll be back on the field. And this came not long after a report from ESPN that he had basically supplanted Antonio Gibson as the primary ball carrier. So it was exciting for Robinson, and, and then this happens, and it's just so sad. And we really hope he's doing okay, and happy to hear the good news on that front. But I'm sorry that he had to go through this. It's really just terrible. And our thoughts are with him for sure. So I hope there's no negative blowback. I'll accept it if there is, but I do feel the obligation to talk about fantasy football because you're curious and it is time to draft. So, Jamey, I'll ask you at this point now, where are you taking Antonio Gibson, who, for the moment is in a similar situation to what he was in last year, and he was a number 2 running back last year. He was finished top 12. He was number 17 per game in full PPR, number 14 in non-PPR. I'm doing a slow draft, the FFT Invitational, where I'm considering taking him in round 6 if he's still there. What would you say for Antonio Gibson and I guess for Robinson?
Yes. First off, I echo everything you said. I think you said it very appropriately. For Gibson, I think round 6 is probably the spot that you would first want to look at him. Clearly the later that he falls, the better because of the uncertainty. But in the event that he is not just probably the week 1 starter, because I think that's how you have to operate at this point, but if he's the starter for the first half of the season or the majority of the season, depending on Robinson's condition, then he does have the ability to resume his role from a year ago, assuming that nobody else is brought in to challenge him for carries. I don't know who that would be at this point. Probably waiting to see who gets cut. He should be the leader in carries, and he'll have a role in the passing game. But obviously, you have to factor in J.D. McKissic as well. So, it's still not the ideal scenario for Gibson's fantasy value, but you just have to sort of take it as if he's going to be the guy for the foreseeable future. In terms of Robinson, I still think he's worth drafting right now. Again, not knowing what the status is, but if it's not something that is going to keep him out for the majority of the season, and we get the good news that we're hoping for, then he's has a chance to just continue to play like he was. So hopefully everything's okay with him, and we look back on this and say, thank God he's okay. Thank God he's not any nothing serious, and he can take advantage of the football opportunity that was presented to him because he really earned it.
Okay. If let's just say they had not drafted Brian Robinson, where would you rank Antonio Gibson if he just didn't really have that competition?
Barring the fumbles and the struggles that we saw, I think he would.
Yeah, there'd be no competition. I mean, even if he did fumble, right, he'd still be the starting running back.
Sure. So it's the let's see, which backfield could be comparable. It's the I don't know if there's one.
I don't know.
Giants maybe. Where you just know he's the guy, and there's nobody. Well, like McKissick's there. Not fair.
Yeah.
I would say round 5.
It'd be the Washington backfield from last year. It'd be the same.
Yeah, round 5.
Okay, because he was a round 2 pick last year, and
we made a mistake on that.
Played like a round 3 pick, I guess. All right. So there are more news items here. Najee Harris, apparently he played yesterday in the preseason game. The Steelers really played their starters a lot in the preseason, but not him. Not until yesterday. Yeah, no kidding. Najee Harris had a sprained Lisfranc in training camp. Are you fine with him now? It appears to be over that.
Yeah, I mean, at least we have some clarity about what it was. You can certainly say that it's still worth keeping an eye on and be cautious. But I think in regards to what his upside is, I don't know if Jalen Warren or don't think Benny Snell, those type of guys that they have behind him are going to Anthony McFarland. I don't think they're taking him off the field for significant stretches. You kind of know what you're getting. Mike Tomlin's running backs are tried and true. It's a lot of work, and hopefully they're rolling the pass game. I like the fact that he had 3 catches in that game yesterday. And so if they continue to use him as they did a year ago, where he's going to be among the league leaders in targets and receptions, there's immense value. Offensive line, you know what you're getting. Quarterback, you kind of have an idea at this point what you're getting. So hopefully just a better year 2 for Najee Harris from a rushing standpoint, but volume should be huge for him.
Okay, and how about the other Steelers notes? Deontay Johnson left with a shoulder injury, and their star edge rusher, TJ Watt, left with a knee injury yesterday. The initial reports are that they should be fine, right?
That's what Mike Tomlin told Evan Washburn during the game, CBS sideline reporter and guy who does some stuff for us. So I think you got to take him for his word. It's hard to say because it is a preseason. The minute anybody sneezes, I would take him off the field. So yeah, anytime you see a guy, get hurt and certainly have to go into the medical tent, it should, say, okay, your day's over. And so I just don't understand why they played them as much as they did. It was nice to see him on a 38-yard reception too.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, there you go.
I make no promises that this is going to last more than 5 minutes, but I'm here.
I remember the "Can you hear me now" thing. That was fun.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm going to give you the next news items here. J.K. Dobbins may not have a heavy workload early in the season, according to The Athletic. And then you've got this Rams backfield, which looks like perhaps even more of a mess.
Yep.
Sean McVay says he anticipates rookie running back Kyron Williams, who's kind of a passing down specialist coming out of the draft, having a big role. Kyron Williams. Darrell Henderson's going to practice in full this week, and he appears to be ahead of Cam Akers. So first of all, when are you comfortable taking J.K. Dobbins? And then break down the Rams backfield when you want to take those guys.
I'm taking Dobbins in round 5, maybe the end of round 4, but it's with a serious leap of faith. We don't know. I think we kind of do know that he's not ready for the full workload at the beginning of the season, and he's going to be eased in. And look, man, I hope he's ready. I hope he's healthy eventually. He could be a league winner by the time we get to mid-October. Great talent. Good offense. They want to run more. We'll see. But there's something going on with him because he's coming back from the ACL and he's still not with the team yet in full team drills and obviously no preseason action. That's not a surprise, but everything else kind of is. And I'm kind of out on any Rams running back in the first 6 rounds. I don't want Cam Akers because he's still sidelined. Henderson's coming back this week. I didn't actually hear McVay's comment on Kyron Williams, but I did know that he practiced with the Rams in Cincinnati, and he apparently looked so good in practice that they held him out of the preseason game after Sean McVay said that he would play in the preseason game. He could be the third down guy. He could be the 2-minute guy. That negates a lot of value from both Akers and Henderson. It could be a mess, and it could be an offense that throws the ball a lot anyway. So passing on those guys in the first 6 rounds.
Are you guys taking Cam Akers or Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Clyde.
Cam Akers or Miles Sanders?
I think I have Sanders higher.
Akers for now.
Akers or Antonio Gibson?
I'll take Akers.
Gibson right now.
Okay. And finally, Ty Montgomery left with an ankle injury over the weekend. I just saw an update. Bill Belichick said, we haven't practiced since we've been back here, so we'll see how things go today, see what he's able to do, but I think he's doing all right. And this is Ty Montgomery, who he may not matter all that much. He might in PPR, but if he misses time, I would think help Stevenson more than anyone, but it could help both Harris and Stevenson. And it could be pretty significant, I think, because that could be just a true third down back for the Patriots. All right, listen. What is this awesome thing around my neck? Check this baby out. This is from Trophy Smack. We are going to auction this off for St. Jude on Wednesday during the Draftathon. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see the design because of the light, but I'm going to here we go. Look at this baby. Oh my gosh. This is how you celebrate a fantasy football championship. It says the undisputed fantasy football champion. It's got some St. Jude stuff on there. It's awesome. It's going to be game worn, basically, and we're auctioning it off. We also have a Trophy Smack championship ring that you can give out to your league winner. Throw that puppy up there. So if you're not looking, these are the most incredible ways to brag about winning a fantasy championship.
I got one of those
from Trophy Smack.
Yes, for winning the Flex League. So I have the exact same chain that you're wearing. I had to fly home with it, which was fun because it's certainly worth its weight in a great way. It's I've been meaning to put it behind me at some point, so I just haven't gotten around to it. It's been sitting in my bedroom, but I'm kudos to you for wearing that thing because I wore it for a little bit at the draft, and I was like, they do a great job. They certainly give you a great product, and I was thrilled to receive that. Jake Seeley gave me that in front of a room full of other analysts, and it was like, what the hell are you doing? For those of you not watching, Adam is taking the chain off of his head. He put his headphones in his mouth. He's now walked away from his microphone. Presumably, he's probably fallen over because that thing weighs more than he does. And so now he's back. Headphones are back on.
Don't put headphones on with your Trophy Smack chain.
I'm going to guess, knowing how much you weigh, or at least what I presume you to weigh, that thing weighs more than you.
I don't know about more, but it's not that. It's not far out. No, it's not like so heavy that you can't move, but it was a little.
No, it was more that you're just so light that you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and we have our poker tournament tonight. So it is at 7 p.m. I'm pretty sure. No, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can still sign up. You can go to my Twitter page at Adam Azer, Aizer, and you can see the info there. You can still sign up. And we've got the World Poker Tour giving away a 1-year membership to Club WPT VIP. And we're going to have someone, the executive tour director is going to be joining us tonight. We're also going to be having Matt Berkeley, the founder of Solve for Why Poker Training. He's going to give away monthly subscriptions. So we've got amazing stuff that we're giving away tonight on the stream. Tom Wheaton, our guy from Faded Spade, is putting this on for us. He's helping us out, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Tom. And we're going to be giving away cool stuff. And if I remember correctly, I think the winner gets a spot in next year's podcast league. So, Jamey, you can't give that spot away anymore. Nice. But join us for the poker tournament. It's all to benefit St. Jude. And if you need any information about it, it is in my Twitter feed at Adam Azer, Aizer. Now, Dave is genuinely having some issues with his computer. So I hope he can come back. If not, I'll tell you the sleepers he gave, and Jamey can react to them. All right, I want a new sleeper, a new breakout, and a new bust. It's going to be in your last edition. The columns will be on the website, cbsports.com/fantasy. Jamey, give me an updated sleeper.
Zamir White. I'm not going to leave my draft without taking Zamir White if I have the opportunity to. We know that Josh Jacobs is going to be in a committee with White and Amir Abdullah. And I think based on the Kenyon Drake news, it's pretty clear how much they value Zamir White's opportunity here. So he's got a chance to be a lottery ticket. So he'll play. I don't know if you'll ever use him while Jacobs is healthy. At least I hope not for the people that draft Jacobs. But he'll have enough of a role, I think, that if they do turn to him, and as we've seen in the preseason, there's a chance for Zamir White to be a potential starter for you.
Zamir White or Rashad White? So White for the Raiders, Rashad White for the Bucks. Who would you rather draft?
I'd rather have Zamir White at this point.
Okay. Give me a new breakout.
Christian Kirk, as we saw in that game against the Steelers, the second preseason game for the Jaguars, the third preseason game for the Jaguars, excuse me. They played in the Hall of Fame game. He had 8 targets, 5 catches in the first half. And I think we're going to see his role expand from where it was in Arizona as the number 1 guy there for Trevor Lawrence. I think Doug Peterson will maximize his potential. You know about the contract that they gave him to make him, a featured part of this offense. And I think we've got a chance of what that could be. I don't know if he's going to get 8 targets a half on a consistent basis, probably going to be 8 targets a game. But they made an effort to try and get him the ball, and I think that's going to be fun to see. And
I'll just say what I said last week in case you missed it. We did a profile. Go back and listen to it. It's in the FFT feed. It's in the FFT and 5 feed. Jacob Gibbs profiled Christian Kirk and basically said that he wasn't really able to play the slot earlier in his career because Larry Fitzgerald was there. But he is a slot guy. He's best in the slot. Kind of unlocked his potential a little bit last year when Kirk was able to play the slot, and he expects that to be a big part of his game with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And a new bust for you.
The new bust for me, I forgot who I gave you.
Let me see it because I forgot as well. Today's show, the first email from
Akers.
Cam Akers. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I said this at the beginning of training camp. I think maybe after the draft when they drafted Kieran Williams, that if Henderson and Williams are going to be a part of this, then Akers is going to struggle because he's going to share carries. And I was a little concerned about Williams with the passing game role. When we had Williams hurt right after the draft, we got that news. I was like, okay, Akers' role in the passing game should be fine. And we've talked about this a lot, about how typically Sean McVay, when he has a guy, he leans on a guy. But just everything that's unfolding for Cam Akers right now, on top of the fact that he's still going as the 21st running back based on ADP in round 4, it just seems like just adding up for a bad start. I hope it's not a bad finish, because at one point I drafted Cam Akers in round 4 pretty consistently, and I feel icky about that now. So I'm still hopeful he'll be a good fantasy option, but I'm just not confident that he's going to be the breakout that I had hopes for him to be this year.
I want to just throw out, I'm not going to use necessarily the word bust. I just figured this was the best time to bring him up in the show. One thing that stood out to me from preseason week 3 that could lead to a little bit of bust potential, I want to get your thoughts on Alvin Kamara. And Kamara came out, looked great. He was obviously the starter. He was involved on the opening drive, but Mark Ingram ran it in from the goal line. And just going back to what it used to be, they didn't really have, when they were clicking, they didn't really have a specified goal line back. They both got their opportunities. I don't think that Ingram's going to score more touchdowns than Kamara, but I do think there are going to be times when Ingram takes Kamara off the field in those situations. I know that you brought this up, and I brought it up. There were only 4 games last year where Kamara played fewer than 70% of the snaps, and those were the only 4 games he played with Ingram. So I don't want to use the term bust, but I didn't like that development because I do think that could continue at certain times in the regular season of Ingram getting in at the goal line and scoring some touchdowns. What did you think of that?
It's hard to say with the preseason just because, who knows what they were trying to accomplish there. I think they feel pretty good about Kamara punching in from the goal line if they have to. Maybe they just want to get Ingram some work. But obviously it's a concern. It's something that we discussed before or along with the potential suspension, that it's not just going to be him in this every down role. And they don't want to necessarily do that. Now, Pete Prisco was in New Orleans and he brought this up after, I assume, speaking to the coaching staff there and the front office there, the guys that he knows, that without Sean Payton there, that we could see a situation where Dennis Allen or Pete Carmichael, Allen the head coach, Carmichael the offensive coordinator, that they don't take him off the field in some of those situations because they don't feel like they have to necessarily baby him as much. And so maybe that Peyton was doing that a little bit. So we'll see. I don't think that's a reason to run away from him, because when you start to compare him to the guys that he's being drafted around, and I think, if you want to bring Mixon in the conversation, I would take him after Mixon. But, when you start to compare him to Aaron Jones, well, we know Jones is going to share touches. When you compare him to Barkley, who feels safer? I think you can make a case Kamara feels safer. Suspension scenario aside. DeAndre Swift. Kamara is probably in a better spot, right, in terms of sharing touches.
Yeah.
So those top tier guys in the first and second round, Javonte Williams, if you want to put him there also, there's clearly committees. And so how much of the split do you favor the lead guy? I still favor Kamara by a significant margin. And I'm not worried about the fact that Mark Ingram may steal a touchdown or two.
All right, so let me get another round here. I was going to go into a different topic for a minute, but I want to get more names out there. So Jamey gave you Zamir White as a sleeper, Christian Kirk as a breakout, Alvin Kamara as a bust. We'll get into a lot more names later, but let's just do one more. Jamey, the sleepers you gave me, you can pick one from this list of Cousins, Hines, Josh Palmer, Osborne, Nico Collins. Who do you want to highlight?
Nyheim Hines has been somebody that I've drafted a lot of, and I took him in two different drafts. I had simultaneous drafts going on last night, and I took him in both drafts almost at the same time, around the same round, which is typically around round 6 or around 7 or round 8 for me in PPR.
Wow.
No, I should say round 8 or round 9.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm aggressive with him. I'm excited about his opportunity. I think we're going to see him get back to that at minimum. If he stays healthy, he has 2 seasons with 63 catches. One was his rookie year with Andrew Luck. One was 2020 with Phillip Rivers. I do think he has a chance to be north of 70 catches. You told me this, I'm sure doing your notes about Michael Pittman and his target rate, his target percentage in the preseason. I really do think that Nyheim Hines is going to be second on the team in receptions. And I don't know if it's going to be close. I think there's going to be Pittman by a decent margin, Hines by a decent margin, 2 over 3. And then Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell and maybe Mo Alley Cox competing for 3, 4, and 5. This is what Matt Ryan does. He likes to throw to his backs. He's going to throw to him. They're going to use him a lot. They're going to use him in tandem on the field at the same time with Jonathan Taylor. So if he can get back to the 6 touchdown threshold that he had in 2020, you're going to feel comfortable starting him on a weekly basis as at least a flex in PPR. So if you go about your build, heavy receiver, hero RB, 0 RB, this should absolutely be one of your targets for sure.
So how do you compare Nyheim Hines? And by the way, the stat Jamey was mentioning was that Michael Pittman had a 35% target share with Matt Ryan during the preseason, which would be, which would lead the NFL. 35% target share. No other Colt had more than a 12% target share. But how do you, in full PPR, decide between Nyheim Hines and guys like Devin Singletary, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny? Is he after those guys or what? Or in the mix?
I have him ranked after those guys, but I don't typically draft those guys because I'm usually looking at wide receiver at that point. And so, again, it's also knowing who you draft with, because I know, like, for me, I don't think a lot of people, if they're looking at projections, are necessarily looking at Hines or other rank lists. If people like to use Dave's rank list, for example, he's a little bit lower on him. Heath and I are kind of in a similar range. So depending on how you use our draft board, but if you use other draft boards, and we have these conversations, I would assume fantasy analysts at other sites are having these conversations. Oh, I play on Yahoo. I don't see these guys ranked as high as you have them. Well, that's because I like them better than their projections or their other analysts. Right. ESPN, same thing. NFL, same thing. It doesn't matter where you play and how you take advantage of it. Again, people do that with our site as well. Totally understandable. So for me, it's my roster construction and when I like to, buy into certain guys. So Obviously, if Miles Sanders hits, he's going to be better than Nyheim Hines. If Rashad Penny hits, he's going to be better than Nyheim Hines. You can't approach it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what I know what I'm getting from Nyheim Hines, I'm pretty comfortable with that. And then as we saw in their first preseason game when Taylor didn't play and Hines did, it was all Nyheim Hines on those
True.
opening drives. And if that happens and he's the backup to Taylor from a carry standpoint, my goodness, he could be top 15, top 10, based on how this team likes to use their backs.
All right, give me another breakout.
Let's go with, I said Christian Kirk. Let's go with Chase Edmonds, getting an opportunity to be the lead running back for the Dolphins. Now, I think it was nice to see Raheem Mostert play in their preseason game against the Eagles, and he looked explosive on the one run, so you have to factor that in. But I think Edmonds will be a significant part of the passing game, and who knows what this Jalen Waddle injury, is and how long it lingers into the season. If it does, what that means. But I think Mike McDaniel will be creative enough. Mike McDaniel will be creative enough to use Edmonds in the passing game. We saw that in their second preseason game against the Raiders. I think we'll see him used as the primary ball carrier to start the season. To what extent, I don't know. So take that into account. But as you see, if you're watching on our show, Sportsline has their projections as the 20th running back off the board. That's a little bit too aggressive for me. But I do think he could finish in that range if things go well for him.
The only thing I might disagree with you on is that Edmonds would be the primary ball carrier at the start of the season. I feel like Mostert I feel like he would be that guy, and he will not play a full season. He's played 8-1 games in his last 2 years, but I don't disagree with the Edmonds breakout, but I would put Mostert on a sleepers list.
I agree.
And I feel like Mostert's not going to catch passes. That would be Edmonds, but week 1, I'll give Mostert 10 carries. Well, maybe they're easing him. No, I'll give Mostert 11 carries. Edmonds gets 8. That seems low. I don't know how it's going to play out, man. But I feel like they want Mostert to be their running back, their primary running back, rusher. And Edmonds, some carries, some catches. What do you think?
I don't disagree with that at all. And I think, you asked Dave about J.K. Dobbins. And I think there's a few guys that you have to sort of understand what you're buying. Dobbins is one because of his injury situation. I think Breece Hall is one. I think Chase Edmonds could be one. And what I mean by that is maybe A.J. Dillon is one. Is that you don't necessarily need an injury in front if there's a tandem or a shared situation for the guy to maximize his potential. But I also think there's going to be a feeling out process. For Breece Hall, it's going to be how much work can he handle early and how good is Michael Carter potentially. For Dillon, it could be game flow. If they're trailing, we'll probably see a lot more of Aaron Jones. I think for Dobbins is going to be, you have to understand there's probably going to be a little bit of a lull, but you're buying a guy that could be a top 15 running back when he's healthy, and hopefully he's healthy by middle to the end of September. And so with Edmonds, it could be exactly what you're saying. It could be that Mostert is the primary ball carrier, is the guy that starts the first game, gets the first carry because of his familiarity and the veteran, understanding that he's the guy that Mike McDaniel trusts. But if Edmonds has the role that I expect, and I think Heath brought this up when he was trying to say that, the discounts that you're getting. I think if there's 3 guys that I would tier. I would say if you want the next Alvin Kamara, it's DeAndre Swift. If you want the next DeAndre Swift, it's Travis Etienne. If you want the next Travis Etienne, or what he could be, it's Chase Edmonds.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
So it's like a trickle down effect, but and you think about it at cost. Chase Edmonds is amazing value for what he could be. He's still going around pick 90 on CBS as like I have in front of me here. It's like the
36 or 37.
36 running back off the board, 92.1.
Okay, finally give me another fantasy bust.
Another bust. So I gave you what?
Burrow, Rodgers.
I give you Jacobs.
Yep.
Well, I guess we already talked about that with Zamir White.
Zeke
is just I still don't understand his ADP. He's still going in the 30s. He's still got the same concerns minus the offensive line situation, and now you have the offensive line situation on top of it. And so with Dak saying Tony Pollard's going to have a significant role in the passing game, the only thing I feel like is saving Ezekiel Elliott at this point is Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing to have. As I said, Mike McCarthy's a puppet. He's going to do what Jerry wants. But how far? How long?
All right, so Jamey gave you 2 sleepers, Zamir White, and even much earlier than Zamir White, Nyheim Hines. 2 breakouts, Christian Kirk and Chase Edmonds. And 2 busts, Ezekiel Elliott, and I am sorry, I don't remember.
Akers.
Cam Akers, right. Okay, so I want to tell you about a major breakout. I want to tell you about Liquid IV. Actually, a couple months ago, my wife had COVID, pretty bad, and like not terrible, but it wasn't great. It was kind of stuck in bed for a couple of days. She loved Liquid IV because we have a ton of it. And this really got her going again. This is a great way to stay hydrated. All right, you got to stay hydrated. It's still really hot out there. Jamey was just telling me over the weekend about his kids' Little League games, and it was so hot out there that some of the kids had to take breaks, and that was unusual. But it's freaking hot. So make sure you stay hydrated and use Liquid IV for it. It's hydration that's 2 times faster than water alone. Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently. It contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. You got electrolytes. It's non-GMO. It's free from gluten, dairy, and soy. By the way, it's delicious. They have 10 refreshing flavors. They've got Concord Grape, Lemon Lime, Pina Colada, Tropical Punch, and more. Liquid IV is also on a mission to change the world. For every purchase, they donate a serving to someone in need. So that's another reason why you need it. But listen, it's like a powder. I use it. I drink it. It's delicious. You pour it in some water, you stir it up, and you just feel better. You get a little reinvigorated, okay? So grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get 15% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code FFT at checkout. So you can either go to Costco or get that discount, 15% off. 15% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code FFT at liquidiv.com. All right, it doesn't appear that Dave is going to be back, unfortunately. He's having some computer issues, which really stinks. I wanted him on this show, and he wanted to be here. Before we get back into sleepers, breakouts, and busts, any big preseason winners or losers for you from week 3?
I was impressed with – impressed is a bad word. I was pleased with Jacoby Brissett leaning on David Njoku as much as he did. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. Dave has been talking about this a lot. And so I moved Njoku to 12th in PPR, 13th in non-PPR, and we'll just have to see what happens once Deshaun Watson gets back and maybe some more downfield throws. But, we knew that he was going to be second on the team in targets, which is something that we like. And you saw in their game just how much Brissett was leaning on him. And it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Anthony Schwartz had actually caught a few of those passes that were thrown in his direction. Poor kid just had a miserable game.
Also, no Cooper, no Chubb, no Hunt.
True.
It helped David Njoku.
But I do think that he's going to have a big opportunity. And the same, we have to adjust our bet, by the way, now that we know it's 11 games. So we'll do. We said it was going to be on a 15-game scenario.
This was a Kareem Hunt bet, over under 60 catches. I took the under. Jamey took the over. So what do you think?
Right. So what's the math on that? 15-6 is 4 game.
Yeah.
So that's 40. Huh?
So we're just doing 44 catches in the first 11 games.
44 catches the first 11 games.
Okay. And if he misses time,
then it's off.
So how about 4 catches per game?
4 catches per game.
That way I get to Acer stat if he leaves the game halfway.
Okay.
All right, Kareem Hunt, 4 catches per game. I'm going to take the under, even though which sucks. I draft Kareem Hunt a lot. He's one of my favorites in the round 7, round 8 range. How about Cordarrelle Patterson? Just not necessarily in week 3, but we barely saw him in the preseason, and I don't think any of the running backs, Tyler Algier, Kadri Allison, Damian Williams, I don't think they stood out. And I wonder if Cordarrelle Patterson is going to open the year as their primary running back. I really have no idea what to expect from Cordarrelle Patterson. He is not a guy I've drafted at all. I basically don't even consider him. But maybe, yeah. What do you think about Patterson? Was this actually a good preseason for him?
Not playing, or barely playing. I think so. Nobody else stood out. But even on the broadcast of the game, they were saying that this is a guy they're hoping by midseason will have a significant role. And so
About Algier?
By Tyler Algier, yeah. And look, I think if you're looking at their depth chart right now, it's Patterson 1, probably Damian Williams 2, and Algier 3, if not Allison ahead of Algier. But this is somebody you just have to take another guy, a long-term approach with. So don't get upset if he's not playing early in the season and panic drop him unless there's just somebody that's that much better and he's the worst guy on your roster. But they're not going to be a great team. I think we're going to see clearly the difference again is Mariota's going to run more so than probably Patterson is going to dominate carries like he did a season ago. He broke down for a reason, 31-year-old guy. And so while he doesn't have a lot of mileage on his body because of as a traditional running back, he's still at that point in his career where you have to say, okay, age is not on his side. Father time is not on his side. So I think, based on where he's been drafted, it's fine. You're taking him as a third running back flex type of play. You go 0 RB. It's a guy that could probably get you off to a decent start early in the season, but I'm just not excited about Cordero Patterson. Now that could change if Drake London's not ready for week 1 and we see him maybe in a sort of a hybrid role, playing more wide receiver than he did last year. But I just don't want to trust him to be that same type of guy. So if you're just drafting him with the right reasons, right intentions, not a must-start guy, that's fine.
It was nice to see Justin Fields and the Bears offense look a little bit better. Their first series was a dreadful 3-and-out, but then they got going a little bit and had 3 touchdown drives in their next 4 possessions. The last one was against the Cleveland backups, and Cleveland didn't have Denzel Ward or Jadeveon Clowney or Myles Garrett, so you don't know what to make of it. But for such a bad preseason for Justin Fields, for him to follow up with 14 of 16, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns, that was nice. I'm not sure that.
And it wasn't Mooney.
Yeah, Mooney had 1 target. He threw 16 passes, only 1 to Mooney. He really spread it around. Dante Pettis, Isaiah Coulter, Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet had a 26-yard touchdown on busted coverage against the backups late in the first half. But
his was the third touchdown. Yes.
Yeah, his was the last one. But yeah, he spread around. I don't know. I didn't really make anything of that as far as Mooney goes, but it was good to see something from.
No, I meant that for Fields.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, using everyone. But he's still on CBS ADP. He's actually going behind guys like Matt Ryan and Jameis Winston, and I think Ryan Tannehill. There's a big separation between Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence, and then Justin Fields on CBS ADP. Whereas I always lump the 3 of them together. How do you see it?
I mean, where I come out on this, if you have the ability to run for, north of 500 yards, and we told you what he did his last 6 healthy games, he was on pace for just shy of 1,000 yards. I think that's going to be a big part of his game because this offensive line is going to let him down. He's going to escape the pocket. When there's not a throw down the field, he's going to run. And so I think there's a lot to like about his upside. Now, I will say this when it comes to when you look at quarterback ADP, when it's not separated, and unfortunately our ADP does not get separated by draft. I don't know how many ADP sites separate between Superflex and non-Superflex. I know there are sites out there that do it. In Superflex leagues, there are people, and I totally get it, the safety factor of certain number 2 quarterbacks. And I don't know if Justin Fields falls in the safe category. I think he certainly falls in the upside category. But, if you're looking at safe, you kind of know what you're getting with Matt Ryan, especially, he'll go. I know the ADP doesn't reflect that for us, but I think he'll go later than Fields. Trevor Lawrence is probably safer. And so for me, I'm always going to look for as much upside as I can, even in those formats. So I will draft Fields first. He's certainly like I drafted in one league last night where I was hoping to go because Carr was my last highest rated quarterback, and Fields at the time was right behind him. I was hoping to pair the 2 together, but it's a keeper league, so somebody took Fields before I was ready to take him. But in any event, that's certainly a pairing that I like to do. If I go Cousins or Carr, I like to pair them with Fields or Lawrence because I think those 2 guys have top 12 upside.
Okay. So we're going to get to more sleepers, breakouts, and busts right now. I do have to tell you one thing, though. Listen, we got 1,000+ people watching right now. We have 104 likes. So please do us a favor on YouTube. This is our biggest live audience of the year, I believe. So thank you for that. Please do us a favor and hit that like button, and we'd really appreciate it. Let's get that going.
All right, listen, let's do this. What's our email address?
fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. That's the letter I, fantasyfootball on cbsi.com.
All right.
At CBS.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Screen grab it. Send us a picture to that email, and I'll put you in consideration for the Fantasy Football Today HQ League, which I haven't picked the winners yet.
All right. Good
What's
stuff.
the email address again?
fantasyfootball@cbsi, the letter I.com, and put something in the subject line like screenshot just so we know.
No, put FFTHQ.
All right. FFT. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, FFTHQ. Good. So let me read some of Dave's sleepers here. He has Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa. So how would you rank those two plus Fields? I know Fields first, then how would it go?
I really struggle with Fields and Lawrence, but I go Fields, Lawrence, Tua.
And I struggle just in general in 1 QB leagues getting any of these guys because they're far enough down in the rankings where you don't have to take them, but they're good enough where you want to take them. And I hope that they can just make this quarterback position super deep this year. But Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa, you know the deal. Everything is ready for them to break out, and they're on the sleepers list. Whatever they could be.
And I would include Winston too. I think Winston belongs in this group also. I think there's enough upside for him with his receiving core. And I'm actually very curious. I tweeted out over the weekend just because of all the drafts going on, all the mock drafts that we've done, the recent mock drafts that we've done, and I got a few. Where's the 14-team leagues? Where's some of the deeper leagues? We have our podcast draft tonight, which is a 14-team PPR league, and I'll post the results of that at some point tomorrow. These are quarterbacks that are certainly in play, because they're going to be people, Adam. They're going to take, probably 2 quarterbacks before I take one, and we could see a scenario of, I share the team with a very generous St. Jude donor, Todd Rones, and we may wait on quarterback to the point where we're starting maybe Lawrence and Tua, that type of combo.
And
I got one email already. Look at this. Great job.
Oh, nice. We are going to be reviewing that 14-team PPR live draft or real draft, the podcast league draft. We're going to be reviewing it on our Tuesday night stream, 8 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today.
We got 2.
All right. So other sleepers for Dave, 3 running backs that you can take late. Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, and Mike Davis. Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, and Mike Davis. Yeah, I mean, they all fit the bill, right?
Oh my God, there's like 10.
Oh my God,
you guys are awesome. 10 emails.
Yeah. Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, Mike Davis.
Mostert and Davis are certainly intriguing to me. I like Khalil Herbert. I think Khalil Herbert is definitely more in the lottery ticket mold of needs an injury to happen, because I think we saw that. You mentioned the Bears game. The entire first 2-3 series, I think it was like 20 or 22 snaps of Justin Fields. It was David Montgomery. So, Herbert, for the talk of he's going to be involved more, I don't think it's going to necessarily materialize right away. Davis might be the Ravens starter week 1. We've talked about this a lot with Gus Edwards on the PUP list. He's out for 4 weeks, and Dobbins, maybe not being ready for week 1. Mike Davis is an unbelievable 0 RB target. Are you seeing all the emails coming in?
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Wow.
So that's part of it. And then Mostert, we just alluded to this. He could have a significant role with the Dolphins. So yeah, I think all 3 of these guys are great. You brought up Rachaad White. That's another guy you should be looking for. And Isaiah Pacheco, I think, still falls in this category also based on his ADP.
All right, more sleepers from Dave. I lost my place amongst all this barrage of emails. Okay, Isaiah McKenzie and David Njoku. He's been talking about David Njoku for so long, so kudos to him there. Isaiah McKenzie got hurt. Is he injured right now?
So he left practice on Saturday, I believe, and there was no follow-up to it. And so there's a few things at play here with this, because when Pete was in Buffalo, and he was raving about Isaiah McKenzie. So it's a great call by Dave. I know this is the sleeper that he's highlighting this year, and he's been talking about him for a while. So it's not like he just jumped on it. He jumped on it after he was trying to get some buzz, but he's excited about Isaiah McKenzie. If Jamison Crowder makes the final roster, I'm curious to see how that's all going to work for McKenzie. Will he have this role completely? If he screws up at any point, will they go to Crowder because you know what you're getting in Crowder? And then Khalil Shakir as well, what will happen there? So McKenzie's injury is certainly one to monitor. But basically where you're drafting McKenzie is free. I don't know how many people want to draft him in non-PPR. I think he's a borderline guy in half PPR, but in full PPR, he should absolutely be on your radar.
All right, so Dave gave you Lawrence and Tua, Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, Mike Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, David Njoku. Jamey's sleepers, Kirk Cousins. Cousins going just ahead of Lawrence, Tua, Ryan Winston, Ryan Tannehill, Justin Fields. So that group. So he's after Aaron Rodgers, after Derek Carr. Yeah, he's like the last of the, we kind of know what we're going to get. But you think Kirk Cousins has potential to be really good. And the stats bear it out. When Thielen is healthy and Jefferson is Jefferson over the last year and a half, basically, Cousins has been so good. So
now you have more Osborne. You have Irv Smith back. I mean, he's just got
and a different
an
coach
unbelievable receiving core.
That's going to be less run heavy, you'd think. Nyheim Hines, you already talked about. So then let's talk about 3 wide receivers late that you gave me. These 3 sleepers. How do you rank them? Josh Palmer for the Chargers, KJ Osborne for the Vikings, and Nico Collins for the Texans.
Collins is ahead of them because his role is solidified. He's going to be the number 2 guy behind Brandon Cooks. And I think as we've seen in the preseason, Davis Mills will lean on him. And he's got an opportunity, I think, to be kind of like what a poor man's Michael Pittman was last year in his second season. I don't think he's going to reach those heights because Brandon Cooks is there. But if Cooks misses any time, then he's in a great spot. God, this is just amazing watching these emails coming.
Oh, my gosh.
But I think if the other 2 guys in terms of Palmer and Osborne get starting roles, and unfortunately it would probably be due to an injury, you saw it with Osborne last year. He was great whenever Adam Thielen was out, and even in some cases when Thielen was still there. He didn't have a plethora of targets all the time, but he certainly has the chance to be the type of guy that you just stash at the end of your bench and see what happens. And the same thing with Palmer. We saw that for him at the end of last season also. When he got a chance to play more, you've heard nothing but rave reviews. If Keenan Allen, probably more so than Mike Williams, but if either one misses time, I think we're going to see those 2 Palmer step into a bigger role. And think about what you're attaching these guys to. You're attaching one to Justin Herbert, which is easy. You're attaching the other one to what we all expect to be a more explosive offense in Minnesota. So I like the upside for both those guys. Again, like I said about Zamir White, I don't like to leave my draft without taking a chance on one of these guys if I have the opportunity to. So if you go receiver heavy, like I did this one draft last night where my first round pick was Jamar Chase. I got Barkley in round 2. And then I went Pittman and Cortland Sutton and Brandon Cooks with my next 4 picks. I loved how that worked out. So my first 5 picks were 4 receivers and a running back. So what did I start doing next? I started getting running backs. And then when you factor in quarterback and tight end, it was, okay, what type of receiver can I get at the end of my draft? I took a shot on Marcos Valdes-Scantling ahead of those guys, but this is the type of receiver that I'm looking for as that 5th option. Who can be a lottery ticket type of guy? I felt MVS, if you want to put him in sleeper category, he's ahead of those guys.
Should be, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Should be in that category.
So MVS is ahead of those guys. But, again, same theory. What are you attaching yourself to? You're attaching yourself to a great quarterback, great system, great opportunity.
Yeah. Collins, by the way, is like 6'4", ran a 4.40. 4.440. He's a really good athlete. You don't love his quarterback, but you love the talent and should be number 2 in targets for the Texans. I'm excited. You guys have really gotten me excited to draft Nico Collins. Love the sleeper call there. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with our breakouts and busts. We are going to come back, it looks like, with Dave Richard as he's standing by, and we'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, Dave. Welcome back, Dave.
I'm here for now. I don't know how long I'll let I love computers. Aren't they really wonderful?
Yeah.
I feel like I know Office Space was just a movie, but if it were a TV show, the last 30 minutes of my life would be an episode.
You like computers. Hold on. I have to get the rim shot. Where is it? You like computers about as much as Sarah Connor. That's
great.
Yeah. Totally. Okay, so anyway, let's go to breakouts here. And since Dave's only going to be on for the next 30 seconds or so, let's get Dave's breakouts. You have Derek Carr. Jamey had Kirk Cousins as a sleeper. You have Carr as a breakout. I mean, they're the same. They go basically back to back. Who do you like better, Carr, Cousins? And then you're also going to talk about 3 wide receivers, DJ Moore, Gabriel Davis, and Marquise Brown. But kick it off with Carr.
So just generally speaking, when I think of a breakout, I think about a player that's going to have the best year of their career. So Carr's in line for it. He's got Devontae Adams, huge weapon on the outside, huge touchdown magnet. Waller hopefully will be okay. I think Renfrow, the more that Waller's banged up, the better Renfrow looks. And questions about the run game, I'm okay with Josh Jacobs, but I don't know how much they're going to lean on the run game when they've got so much in the passing game. So I think Carr's got a shot to put up career best numbers. I do like Cousins better than Carr. Cousins moved into my top 12 this weekend. DJ Moore and Gabriel Davis and Marquise Brown are the 3 receivers. It won't take too much more for DJ Moore to have a career year. 6 touchdowns, maybe 7 from Baker Mayfield. I'm optimistic that Baker can help him get there if Baker can stay healthy. And I think right around 1,100 yards, which is where he's been, I think he's in line for that. Gabriel Davis, we've been talking about for 6 months. I think everybody's aware of what his upside is. He's in the right offense. And Marquise Brown, he's got 1 year, I think, with more than 6 touchdowns, and he's got 1 year last year with over 90 catches and over 1,000 yards. He's just in a better offense now, and the targets and the volume should be there for him. I think he'll have a new career high, not necessarily in catches, but in yards, and he should at least get 7 touchdowns over 17 games.
And DJ Moore
would absolutely hate if he knew what the ADP is for Gabriel Davis right now on our site.
Oh, no. Well, let me talk about DJ Moore's ADP real quick, because I just want to say he's still a round 4 pick. He's a round 4 pick on Fantasy Football Calculator. Well, not on Fantasy Football Calculator. He's 25th there. But on CBS, Pittman's a round 4 pick. DJ Moore is a round 4 pick. And, I mean, that could really be a focal point for you in drafts. If you know you can get DJ Moore in round 4 or even late round 3, it's a great time to take him. What's Gabriel Davis's ADP on CBS?
He is. All right, ADP price is right. Let's see.
Oh, I got. I'll let Dave go because I already
the wide receiver ADPs on CBS have been crazy. So I'd be surprised if it's higher than like 75.
It is higher than 75.
It's not necessarily the ADP itself; it's the wide receiver number that he is. He is the 22nd receiver off the board. So he would go nuts about that if he's on
66th. And he's going ahead of Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, Michael Thomas, Marquise Brown, Brandon Cooks, Jerry Jeudy. Honestly, I can't sit here and say you're wrong. You shouldn't take him ahead of those guys. But I will note that he's one of the biggest risers. And I think just that touchdown that he caught has
in non-PPR, though, you can make a strong argument for it, because if he does get the touchdowns, and we have him projected from Sportsline as 10 touchdowns, which is a lot. If he gets to that, and you've heard me say this before, I said this on HQ a few weeks ago. I said it here a few times, that if you're taking a wide receiver prop, this is the guy you want to take a shot on based on the odds for leading the NFL in touchdown receptions, because he's got that potential. We saw it in one preseason game already. We saw it in the playoff game with 4. He had 5 in the playoffs altogether. He's got that upside. And so if McKenzie's injury is bad and they don't want to necessarily, Josh Allen doesn't want to trust, Jamison Crowder or Khalil Shakir, Dawson Knox, he's going to be a factor in the red zone. Davis, you see here, 10 touchdowns. That's hard to overlook. I'm surprised his PPR rank is so low given those 10 touchdowns, because you only see 46 catches based on his projection. But, man, he could be special.
We're projecting him for 46 catches and 10 touchdowns?
Don't ask me. I don't do it.
Okay.
I think that's part of the reason why his ADP is high, is because there are a percentage of people that auto draft. They agree to do a draft and they don't show up.
But that's not reflective, though, because his projection is 39th.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So and the fact that he has the green plus arrow is says to me that people are just honestly, how it works with fantasy managers. All it takes is that highlight reel catch. It was a great catch that he made in that preseason game a few days ago, and it's going to get people more excited about him. I just want to give a stat that I just did some calculating. Devontae Adams, I took away his first 2 seasons. He didn't really do much his first 2 seasons. He had 4 touchdowns. His third season, Devontae Adams had 12, and that started a stretch of 5 double-digit touchdown seasons in his last 6. So over the last 6 years, Devontae Adams has an 8.1% touchdown rate. That is, he has caught a touchdown on 8.1% of his targets. Gabriel Davis for his career is at 10.4%. He crushes even Devontae Adams, and that does not even include the playoffs. So for whatever reason, Gabriel Davis is just the ultimate touchdown machine in a small sample size. That means that all he would need is 100 targets to get 10 touchdowns. If he got 120 targets, he'd have 12 touchdowns based on his career rate. So that's, you don't project him to do that, but he just has been a magnet for touchdowns. All right. Sorry. So Dave gave us Carr, DJ Moore, Gabriel Davis, and Marquise Brown. We, as a fantasy team here, love Michael Pittman. I will ask, though, do you think 25th overall is too early for Michael Pittman? That is basically where you might have to take him.
Too low.
Jamie's cool with him at the 2-3 turn. Dave, are you cool with Michael Pittman at the 2-3?
In full PPR, I am cool with him at the 2-3 turn.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to get so many targets. All right, Jamie's breakouts.
He already has. If you've watched in the preseason, Matt Ryan's thrown to him like crazy.
Yeah, give a stat once again because you weren't on for when I said it. 35% target share with Matt Ryan. And I have to give credit
I mean,
to the guy.
it is the preseason. How many passes has Matt Ryan even thrown?
I don't know, but 35% is wild.
That's a lot. Yeah. And there were a bunch to the running backs too, not just Hines.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other 65 went to 99.
No other player had more than 12%, but Hines wasn't on the field for all the whatever, blah, blah, blah. I have to give credit to Dwayne McFarland on Twitter at Dwayne DWAIN McFarland, MC Farland. He's got great stats like that. Tight end participation routes. O'Ally Cox, 75% participation route. His route participation was 75% with Matt Ryan, which signifies that Mo Alley Cox in a super deep league, I'm not saying he's going to be good, but that he appears to be like the starting tight end. Noah Fant, only 54% with Geno Smith. That's troublesome. This one was big, though. David Njoku, 80% tight end route participation with the starters.
Does that mean just like routes run?
Yeah, so when the starters
thrown off by the term participation.
When the starters were on the field, he ran routes on 80% of those plays. And that's his reads.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's good. All right, back to breakouts. Jamey gave us Chase Edmonds. Jamey, you and I, we love AJ Dillon. I think, Dave, are you on the AJ Dillon love too?
Oh, yes, very much so.
So
top 50 pick.
Oh, okay, top 50. Or is that, you agree on that, Jamey? Top 50 for AJ Dillon?
Definitely non-PPR. PPR is close. You know, there are so many receivers I like at that range, so it's hard to take Dillon over some of those guys. But you know, depending on how you build your team, you can make a case for it. He's like, I take him over Josh Jacobs. He goes there. I take him over Akers at this point. I take him over Zeke. The one I'm struggling with is Breece Hall, but you know they're right there. Yep. But Dillon to me is, you know, as I've said many a time, that he's going to be probably the leader in carries, probably the leader in rushing yards, maybe a leader in rushing touchdowns. He'll be involved in the passing game, and he's an injury away from being a top 5 caliber player.
And just real quick on Breece Hall, it's pretty obvious that at least at the start of the season, Michael Carter is going to have a significant role. Do you feel like you have to wait for Breece Hall, or do you feel like he's a week 1 starter for you?
No, like I said, I think you got to understand what you're buying. You're buying the potential of a top 15 caliber player, and he's got that upside. He's got the ability to play in the passing game. He's got the ability to, you know, be a 1,200, 1,500 type of rushing yard guy. But that's if everything breaks right for him. Now, I do think first of all, I like the way Dwayne Brown looked in the game against the Giants, and I think that addition will help offset the loss of Becton. But yeah, I said this. You brought up Javonte Williams. You know, it feels a little, and I don't think it's going to be to this heights, but it feels a little Jonathan Taylor, his rookie season. You know, the measurables for the two guys are comparable coming out of school. And we knew going in, it was going to be Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines, and what was going to happen there once everything sort of took hold. Now, it took Marlon Mack, or it helped that Marlon Mack had the Achilles tear in the first game, and then Jonathan Taylor got the opportunity to play more. But there's not a third guy like there was that season for the Colts. You know, so this is a situation where I think we'll get Breece Hall working in tandem with Michael Carter. He may not get the first carry. He may not get the first series. But once he starts to understand and the game slows down for him, I think he's going to kick Michael Carter to the sideline, and you'll see the best of Breece Hall, which could be an easy top 20 running back. I
don't think he'll kick him to the sideline, but I think he'll take over the majority of the work there. And I think I thought you were going to go there when you said when you draft Breece Hall, you've got to know what you're buying. I think you have to commit to him for the entire year. And you have to understand that at the beginning of the year, it could get a little rough and you might only get 7 or 8 fantasy points out of him. But long term, he's going to be great. And long term might kick in by week 3.
Okay, Jamey, thank you.
That's why he's a round 4 pick.
Thank you for flooding my inbox, Jamey. I do appreciate that.
It's amazing. How many likes are we up to?
Not enough. We have 1,200 people watching, and we don't even have 300 likes, so please hit the like button. Let's finish the show with busts. Jamey's list we've more or less discussed. Josh Jacobs and Ezekiel Elliott, they're both round like 3-4 turn picks right now on CBS, and that's just
too
soon. So give me a round where you're comfortable taking Zeke, and then a round where you're comfortable taking Josh Jacobs in a 12-team league.
Zeke round 5, Jacobs round 6, 7.
They're back-to-back for me as late round 5 picks. Zeke first.
And are you guys taking AJ Dillon over Zeke?
Yes. Have been for a while.
Okay. Also, Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow. Those are mutual busts, and it's based on ADP. Rodgers. Now, listen, on CBS sites, Burrow's ADP is QB8. It's earlier than that on other sites, so that's better.
Even that soon.
Okay. They're both going as QB8 and QB9. Burrow and Rodgers are going ahead of. Tell me if you take these guys over Burrow and Rodgers. Matthew Stafford.
No.
Not over Burrow, over Rodgers.
Russell Wilson.
Yes.
No. Wilson should go first.
Yeah, I'm taking Wilson over both.
Tell me if you're taking this guy over Burrow and Rodgers. So, yes on Wilson.
Yes.
Dak Prescott.
Yes, for now.
Over Rodgers and Burrow for now.
Okay. Derek Carr.
Over Rodgers.
Trey Lance.
Over both.
I've got him behind Burrow.
Okay.
I think. They might be back to back. Maybe Lance is ahead of him, but I think Burrow should be ahead of Lance.
Not me.
Having a hard time taking Dak over Burrow.
Same.
Just
because of the Tyron Smith thing?
Because of everything. I mean, the situation for Burrow is so much better. The only
it's right. If you go, who's got the better weapons? It's easily Burrow. Who's got the better offensive line? Right now it's Burrow. Who's got the better running back? Right now it's Burrow. So it's like everything that he has around him. It's okay. So why isn't he better?
It's
I think I'm gonna make that switch.
Right. It's Dak is probably going to throw more. They're just very, very aggressive.
And it's this is no disrespect to Burrow. Dak's a better player right now still.
Yeah, I mean Dak has the pedigree. He's done it.
Yeah,
we'll see if that comment holds up. I think Burrow hopefully goes out. The way he's being drafted, he's got to go out and show that he's a better player than Dak, but he hasn't done that yet. All right, Dave's bus.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like we're the only ones that are fighting this. Everybody else is taking Burrow over Dak.
Yeah. Everybody else. We don't need to talk about this because everybody else wants Joe Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was announcing the first round of a Superflex draft last night from a St. Jude donation, and Burrow went in the first round of the Superflex when there weren't really that many quarterbacks, and he went ahead of Kyler Murray. So just people love him.
It's wild.
Okay,
wild.
and he went way ahead of Tom Brady. So Dave's busts. Okay, this is a sexy list to end the show with, Dave. We only have a few minutes left, so Christian McCaffrey based on ADP. I think he's going second overall. You would take McCaffrey?
Fourth overall in full PPR. So it feels nitpicky to say that, but I feel like no one is putting any stock into what's happened the last 2 years when they take him at first or second overall.
I kind of agree with you on that. And I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday, and we were talking about McCaffrey, and I said, yeah, he's been so bad the last 2 years. And I said, that said, I drafted him third overall in a league last week, and it's the happiest I've been in months.
Dude, I got him in my 2 father-son leagues with my kids. 6th in one draft and 7th in another. This is non-PPR.
Yeah, I saw the 7th one.
Can I tell you why I was so happy to get him, Dave?
Yeah, sure. Go nuts.
This is, by the way, a joke, but because he's obviously, to me, he has the most upside in fantasy. But if he gets hurt, you have a beautiful built-in excuse. If you don't do well in fantasy, hey, it wasn't my fault. My guy got hurt.
I just took the guy that's been hurt each of the last 2 years, and he got hurt again. Who knew?
All right. You're saying James Conner, based on his ADP, is a bust.
On CBS, his ADP is like 25th overall, I saw. I thought that was too soon.
When would you take James Conner?
Middle to the end of round 3.
Okay. Would you take Conner or David Montgomery?
I believe I have Conner ranked higher.
Conner is the bridge back, right?
He's one of them. AJ Dillon is the real bridge tender.
How about Javonte Williams or James Conner?
Give me Javonte.
All right. And then Rashad Bateman, Juju Smith-Schuster, based on their ADPs.
On NFC. So these are now I'm cherry picking.
Okay.
I'm Azer statting the ADPs.
I love it.
Bateman and Juju are just going too high for my taste. I'm worried about Bateman getting a lot of volume in this offense. They want to run. We'll see if they might not be able to if Dobbins isn't ready, and then everything will change. But I think that not only do they like Isaiah Likely and how he can contribute, I think they like their potential slot receivers too, Prochet and Duvernay. One of them might pave the way to kind of make Bateman's upside go away.
Why don't we go sit by the bay and eat some hay or make things out of clay, Dave? All right, George Kittle Juju. I'm sorry. Wait, so I have to get a time in the draft that you're willing to draft Bateman and Juju.
Sure. Bateman, give me a sec.
Okay.
I've got him at the end of round 6. Juju's right after that. Kittle's right in between them. So early to mid 70s for all three of these guys. Kittle's the one I'm probably the most nervous about.
Yeah, mid 70s. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just taking a bunch of other players ahead of him.
Okay.
Kittle might be third on the team in targets. I don't know how many times they'll throw. Lance has not looked great throwing the football this preseason. And Ayuk has stepped up. He's going to get targets downfield. Lance might be one of those guys that's more of a downfield thrower than a check down guy. I think he likes his big arm, and I think that hurts Kittle. And the offensive line has some questionable issues as far as blocking goes, and they'll use Kittle more as a blocker if that's what they need to do. So I've moved Schultz ahead of him. I've moved Goddard ahead of him. I'm out on Kittle this year.
Well, the big winner here is Dave's computer. It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. Strong finish for Dave's computer.
How many likes?
Well, we have 1,300, almost 1,400 people watching. So that's by far the most we've had.
Thanks, everybody.
That's live. Hopefully we'll get to over 20K views. Only 321 likes. That's a little disappointing. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button as we finish the show,
tell them what they get.
Yeah, if you take a screenshot and email it to fantasyfootball@cbsi.com, fantasyfootball@cbsi.com, put HQ League or FFT HQ or something in the subject line.
FFT HQ.
You get a spot in the you don't get you're eligible for a spot. And we appreciate your support. Thank you very much. And that's it's going to do it for our Sleepers, Breakouts, and Bust Bonanza. We will talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today.